Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are taking a look at that's not right. The Utah Coyotes? What? Today we're going to take a look at the latest rumors around Arizona's NHL franchise. Will they still be Arizona's franchise by the end of 2024? We're going to take a look at that today. So, the other day we heard some more reports that things are not going well with the Coyotes, and we obviously the falling through of the Tempe Arena, that was a huge disappointment for the Coyotes keeping the franchise in Arizona. And the way things have gone for this team with their exit out of Glendale, with their the situation around Scottsdale, it just doesn't seem like this team can catch a break in terms of finding a forever home. Now, it does look like they're going to be putting down $46 million, I think, for a new building in the newest proposal, which looks beautiful. Those pictures were leaked definitely on purpose because they want to keep public perception that we can bring a team into Arizona, and this is the visualization you should have for what we see here. Well, best case scenario, if they win the bid, and I don't think anybody else is going to be going after them for it, they should be able to get it. Now, what do they do in the meantime? Because best case scenario, they're saying, is maybe 2027. That's 3 years from now. And if we're being honest with ourselves, you look at all the recent arenas that have been built. Rogers Place. UBS Arena, the Islanders Stadium. Those projects got held off because of just circumstances out of their control, right? Obviously, for UBS Arena, it was during the pandemic, so that arena opened later. So even if construction goes really well, there's always the chance that some alternative force could jump in the way to cause problems. And if we're talking about the Arizona Coyotes, that almost seems indefinite. So let's just say more realistic, probably 4 to 5 years for the Arizona Coyotes to have the building, get the bid, start construction, and getting everything going to the point where they can actually play and be home in that arena. So kind of to round this all out, I think that the Coyotes will end up moving. And the true scenarios we've been hearing are either this team is going to relocate to Utah permanently, and Alex Meruelo and the Coyotes can get a new franchise. That's the first option. The second option is the temporary home in Utah. And what that could mean is I believe it's Ryan Smith, or whoever the Smith owner in Utah, takes the team as a tenant as the Utah Coyotes for the next 3 to 5 seasons, and then Alex Meruelo gets the team back when the building is open. And the only issue I see with this is how much investment is it going to be from Utah? Because you look at when Seattle and Vegas came in, what was the selling point? Was this is our franchise, this is our team. When you have a situation like that where it's sort of we saw this with the Islanders when they played in Brooklyn before they came back to Long Island. It's a bridge, it's a gap, but the problem is you're not able to develop and keep a true fan base that way. And that's the problem with the kind of the 3 to 5 years and then leaving situation. It's just not very good for building that fan base. And you got to think, for Smith, the owner of the Utah team, while they're there, what am I going to invest here? Because by the time we start getting going and start becoming maybe a team that can actually be a legit contender, the team's going to leave me anyway. So why am I going to invest in a team I might not even have in a couple years? So I don't think that one is very likely. A lot of people want that to happen, but I don't think that's likely. And that's kind of what this comes down to. And the third option, which I think the second option is more of an option than this one, which is the third option being that the Coyotes stay at Mullet Arena. I think the Mullet Arena thing, the NHL is just done. They're done with this Mullet Arena thing. The perception for the league looks horrible. And I will give credit to Gary Bettman. in that he has tried. As much as I despise the commissioner of the National Hockey League and everything that he does, all the kind of shrewd moves he makes, this is one where he has tried everything to keep the Coyotes in Arizona. But this was supposed to be a temporary thing, keeping them in Mullet Arena. This is now becoming, all right, now another season, maybe 3 more seasons, maybe 5 more seasons. And I think the NHL, and they're going to talk about it during their meeting this spring, but it's to the point now where it's like, enough is enough. How many more times do we have to talk about the Coyotes? They're going to figure it out this time. They're going to figure it out. And then things fall through. And the biggest problem right now with the Coyotes is the politics. The politics out there are really not in favor of the Coyotes. So it's one of those things that really, as an Islander, and again, I have a lot of authority on this kind of topic because I remember the Islanders going through this. I sympathize so much with the Coyotes and their fans right now because this is a situation that I hate even talking about this stuff because look at all that BS that the Islanders had to go through. Oh, they're going to go play in the Sprint Center in Kansas City, Missouri, and there was John Tavares jerseys and Kansas City gear. Like, that was horrible. And look what ended up happening. None of that ended up happening anyway. So all those stupid rumors, the Islanders are going to go to Quebec. A bunch of Quebec, Nordique fans came down to the Coliseum promoting go to Quebec, this and that. Kansas City was the big rumor at the time. And none of that happened anyway. So I hate making these hypothetical videos. You guys eat it up. My views always go up on these relocation and expansion videos, which is great. But the reality is most of this stuff isn't going to happen. But I will say for Utah, the NHL is dead set on bringing a team to Utah. So kind of to round out those 3 options we talked about, I think the first one is the most likely. And this is kind of an order of likeliness, in my opinion. I think the first option is they move the team to Utah. And when the NHL is ready, they will bring a team back to Arizona. And what sucks for Meruelo is he's probably going to have to buy an entirely new franchise. He's going to sell his franchise to Utah for less, and then he's going to have to pay a lot more with inflation and whatever else in the next 3 to 5 years when the Coyotes get a new team back in Arizona, or whatever they're called. Whether it's the Coyotes, I would assume the Coyotes, because we've seen the Jets do that before. We've seen teams do that. It's not the craziest thing in the world. So we'll see what happens with that. And then that kind of leads us to the end of the conversation, and I'm going to make an entire video on this, but now we're looking at the future. So let's say there's 32 NHL teams. Now we're just flipping Arizona to Utah. The NHL is expected to expand to 34 teams by the end of the decade, by 2030. And if that's the case, I think the Coyotes get a new team. Well, I hate saying the Coyotes. The NHL will go back to Arizona, and I think they're going to put a team in Houston. And if that's the case, there's a lot of rumors. Again, these are rumors, but there's the strong possibility we could see some teams in the Western Conference shifting their division format. They might be putting the Battle of Alberta, Calgary, and Edmonton, who are currently in the Pacific Division, putting them in the Central Division. And that way you could put Colorado and the new Utah team in the Central. And that way you've got the balance a little bit in terms of where you have a rivalry with Colorado and Vegas in the same division, potentially, right, if they go to the Pacific. So there's a lot they could do there. The problem I have with that is now, because you're putting Calgary and Edmonton in the Central, well, now what happens to Vancouver? Vancouver stays in the Pacific Division, fine, that's the time zones and stuff like that. It makes sense, but now you're taking away some of that rivalry. That's like keeping the Islanders and the Flyers out of the same division, or the Penguins and the Rangers out of the same division, right? It doesn't even make sense at this point. That's where I have an issue with that format, because now you're taking Vancouver away from probably 2 of their bigger, bitter rivals other than Seattle, which would be teams like Edmonton and Calgary. So I don't know. I want to know what you guys think down below. I mean, I think it's inevitable at this point. We might be hearing something here by the end of this week. There's been reports by April 18th that the NHL might be coming to a full decision, which is crazy, but it's coming fast. And right now, the NHL apparently is making a schedule, specifically 2 schedules for the Coyotes franchise right now. Whether they play in Utah or whether they play in Arizona, they will have 2 separate schedules, and depending on what happens here by the end of the month, we will probably have a better idea of which schedule will be implemented next season for this Coyotes franchise, whether they're in Utah or Arizona. First of all, I want to end the video here by saying I am a big supporter of the Arizona Coyotes. I love that they have a team, and talk about a non-traditional hockey market. We love Vegas in the NHL. We love Anaheim. We love LA. And Arizona is definitely in that mix. And I have both the home and away versions of the Kachina. I'm wearing the white one today. Love this jersey. Love it. It is so clean. And then the old Sleeping Coyote jerseys, or the Yawning Coyote, right? I have both the home and away version of that. And I have their 2020 reverse retro. So to say the least, I love the Coyotes jerseys. They're beautiful in every way. I would hate to see this team leave. But the reality is they don't have a building. They don't have a lot of backing in terms of politics. This is going to be a rough battle for the Coyotes. I hope they come out on the other side of it. I understand where they're at right now. Being an Islander fan, I truly understand where you're at, Coyotes fans. You will have a team in Arizona. It's just a matter of, is it this franchise? Is it a new franchise? That's to be determined. But I think I think Gary Bettman's made it his life mission at this point to keep a team in Arizona. And I don't see him leaving as the commissioner of the NHL until they put a team back in Arizona, if they do leave this summer. Guys, that's going to do it for today. Hopefully you like this video. If you like this kind of content, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again in the next one. Peace out, guys.